I've been building my own kingdom for everyone to see. It exists to keep me safe from harm, and it's intact to glorify me. Nobody helped me build this up. It was me and me alone. I've appointed myself as the king, and I've given myself the throne. But it turns out I'm no ruler, and I have no control. So I have decided to destroy it all. I'm tearing down the walls, kicking down the doors. Everything inside this kingdom is yours. 'Cause what I've made is worthless, and it cannot stand. Come and breathe some life into my empty, cold, dead hands. Down with the fickle king, away with this fantasy. You are the one I need. Death to the kingdom of me. Death to the kingdom of me. I should probably be frightened. This empire's all I know, but it always does more damage than good. I'm afraid it's gotta go. I know that I can't be trusted, 'cause I'm just a man. And if you hadn't given your life for me, a loser would be all that I am. You know they say just follow your heart. I'm afraid that's a load of trash. Your heart will take you down to deep, dark places where you feel like you'll never come back. So I'm coming out of the dark. This facade is I woke up feeling like it was time to tighten up. Yeah, I woke up feeling like it might be a good day to get it done. That's right. Oh, the stadium is just like my
Bro.
Talking, they can't shut.
Stop the countdown. Stop the countdown. Bro. Okay. Good Lord. Just as I am starting this podcast, here I am, because I'm having to get all of my information from apps that I don't normally get on. Okay. I've been on Blue Sky. I've been on Facebook. Is my mic even on right now? I've been on Blue Sky. I've been on Facebook. I've been on the ESPN app. These apps that I normally don't go to for my news because X, Twitter, whatever the heck you want to call it, chose a great day to be down. They chose a great day. Give it up for Elon, everybody. He has enough money that he could go start his own planet, but he can't figure out how to get his app to work on the most exciting and one of the most important days of the NFL offseason. This was not the story that I was going to lead off with today, but the Tennessee Titans have made a move. The Tennessee Titans. This is from Adam Schefter. Former Steelers left tackle Dan Moore reached an agreement today on a 4-year $82 million deal that includes $50 million guaranteed with the Tennessee Titans. This deal includes in $30 million in year one and $50 million in the first 2 years. The Titans now have a left tackle, Adam Schefter says, to protect the blind side of whoever is playing quarterback. What about J.C. Latham? I thought J.C. Latham was doing that. I thought J.C. Latham, the guy we drafted to play left tackle, I thought that. So are we moving J.C. to right tackle? Because it sure sounds like we're moving J.C. to right tackle. What is going on here? Am I on? Hello? Tap, tap, tap. Is this thing on? Can everybody see me? Can everybody hear me? Am I like John Cena right now? You can't see me. Unbelievable. Dan Moore. I mean, listen, this has kind of been early on in free agency here. This has already been what we have seen is that teams are having to overpay. I'm reading some of your comments here. Callahan said he's a right tackle unless we decide to move him, so this was never off the table. You are correct. Undecided 306 says, take it from a Steelers fan, Dan Moore sucks. Great! B Ravens 1, Steelers fans drafted tackle in back-to-back years because of how bad Moore was. Tremendous. Anthony Cook says, like Buck from A to Z, we paying that we suck tax, but this right here, I am confused on the positions, curious about JC. So what we have seen so far, there are a lot of NFL teams who are paying too high of a price for certain players, okay? This has been happening over the last 24 hours. Guys that normally would not get paid this much are getting paid this much, and now the latest case is Dan Moore with the Tennessee Titans. And you're going to have to forgive me. I am just refreshing every app that will work. Every app that will possibly work, I am trying to refresh to see what the heck's going on because God knows I can't get on X. But there's nothing new regarding the Titans. Dan Moore. So am I to presume? Somebody on YouTube just said, do you think Dan Moore could be used as depth at tackle? We're giving him $50 million guaranteed. He better not just be here for depth. You don't pay somebody $50 million to come in and be depth. You pay somebody $50 million because you expect to, I mean, listen, I hope this works out, but this screams Andre Dillard. This screams the next one. You know, we had Dennis Daly, Andre Dillard, Nicholas Petit-Frere. This just feels like the next move that ends up, this feels like the next tackle that's going to have us pulling our hair out in 2025. And if I had, okay, so this is in real time. I literally didn't even plan on talking about this because this, literally the countdown was going for this podcast when this news broke. So this is all, I haven't had time to even think through what I want to say. This is all just me reacting in real time. What I take away from this, I think, first of all, that J.C. Latham is going to be moving to right tackle. I think the offensive line is going to be Dan Moore at left tackle, Peter Skoronski at left guard, Lloyd Cushenberry at center, right guard still to be determined, but, I mean, Dylan Radins may come back, maybe. And then I think it's J.C. Latham at right tackle. I think they're going to move him at this point. Somebody that knows more about Dan Moore. Has he played any right tackle? Either way, you're paying him $50 million. So that tells me we've got our two starting tackles on the roster right now, for better or for worse. It's going to be Latham and it's going to be Moore. That's going to be the two tackles. That's what I have to presume. You don't pay a guy $50 million to come in and be a rotational piece. You pay a guy $50 million guaranteed because you're planning on him starting. So Dan Moore and Latham, the two tackles, Skoronski and to be determined at guard. They're probably going to pick up a guard in free agency. Lloyd Cushenberry at center. Now, why do I go through all of that? Why do I say all of that? Let me tell you why. Because I think the Titans if there is a bright side to this, I don't think the Titans are going to be as prone to draft a tackle in 2025. I mean, you just signed a tackle to a $50 million guaranteed deal, $82 million potentially. So if you do that, it wouldn't make sense for you to feel like you need to draft a tackle in the second round. So what that could potentially mean, we're drafting Cam Ward. I mean, because now whether you like the move or not, you have freed up one of the big needs. I agree with what Alan Jones just said in the chat. We might very well be going quarterback in round 1 and either edge rusher or wide receiver in round 2. Because I can't say offensive tackle is still just as big of a need if we just signed a guy to a $50 million guaranteed deal. It can't be the same need that it was this time yesterday, because now we picked up a guy. So I have to believe the Titans know they are not going to be in any position to draft a right tackle in the first 2 rounds. To me, this was them saying we are going to be looking at other positions in this draft. Undecided 306, who I believe said they are a Steelers fan earlier, if I'm correct, said Dan Moore has not played much, if any, right tackle. The Steelers moved Broderick Jones over to right in order to have Dan Moore play left where he was more comfortable. Both sides were terrible. Great! Wonderful. I better hope Bill Callahan can work some magic here. I'm going to be refreshing, I guess, Blue Sky, because Lord knows X is still just sitting here spinning. So let's go look at Blue Sky. I'm going to keep refreshing that to see if there's any other moves coming, any other commentary on this signing. Let's talk about other free agents. We can't just talk about Dan Moore for the entire episode, although we could. But let's talk about, I'm seeing if anybody else, any other Titans fans, if there's any commentary going on about this. Let's talk about other free agents. Okay, the quarterback situation. Geno Smith, that was an unexpected domino that fell. Him getting traded to the Raiders, and that takes the Raiders kind of out of the QB carousel. You could argue if Shedeur is still there at 6, they could take him. I don't think they're going to. I think they're going to draft Ashton Genty, or I think they're going to draft a wide receiver. But anyway, that takes the Raiders out of the thing. That was a big deal because now the Seahawks have entered the chat. The Seahawks, who clearly appear to be rebuilding. They clearly appear to be starting from scratch because they're getting rid of everybody. And so the Seahawks are looking for a quarterback. Steelers talks of a quarterback are heating up. You've still got the Jets. You've still got the Browns. You've still got the Titans. And let me tell you what I've noticed. And I want to see if you've noticed this too out there. There's been a lot of talk over the last, especially since the Geno Smith trade happened. Aaron Rodgers has been linked to the Giants. He has been linked to the Vikings. He has been linked to the Steelers. Then you go to Derek Carr, who is returning to New Orleans. I don't even know why I brought him up. Then you go to Sam Darnold, the biggest free agent name in the quarterback race this year. He has been linked to the Seahawks heavily. He has been linked to the Vikings staying there. He has been linked to the Steelers. Then you go to Kirk Cousins, who hasn't really been linked anywhere, but right now it looks like he may be staying in Atlanta and backing up Michael Penix. Because I don't think they're going to find a trade partner. Ain't nobody taking on that contract. Then you hear about Russell Wilson. He's been linked to the Giants. He's been linked to or somebody else. Either way, what I'm getting at here, does anybody else find it suspicious? None of these guys have been linked to the Titans at all. I haven't seen Aaron Rodgers. Like, there was some reports weeks ago about potentially Aaron Rodgers and the Titans, but every report I have heard from anybody that covers the Titans, from anybody that has anything to do with being close to the organization, is that the Titans don't want Aaron Rodgers, whether it's because of his personality or whatever, who cares? They don't want Aaron Rodgers. We have also heard the Titans are not interested in Sam Darnold because they don't want to pay him. They don't want to pay him a bunch of money. They want to pay Dan Moore, but they don't want to pay Sam Darnold a bunch of money, and they don't want to, be locked down for 2 to 3 years with Sam Darnold. Okay, that's a relief to hear. I haven't heard Russell Wilson's name attached to the Titans at all. I haven't heard who else? I haven't heard Kirk Cousins' name attached to the Titans at all, but to be fair, I haven't really heard Kirk Cousins' name attached to anybody yet because most everybody, they don't understand what's happening with him in Atlanta. So why is nobody's name being attached to the Titans? If you wanted to read a lot into it, you could come to the conclusion that the Titans are going to draft Cam Ward, and they know they're going to draft Cam Ward. There's conflicting rumors. We've still got a little over a month until the draft, and last week everybody thought the Titans were going to draft Abdul Carter, and now everybody thinks the Titans are going to draft Cam Ward. At this point, Brian Callahan is going into 2025 with clenched cheeks and a prayer, no matter what happens, because he's either going to have to put his coaching career in the hands of Will Levis, Kirk Cousins, a rookie, or a backup level guy who the Titans bring in to compete. More on that in a second, because I saw Buck Rising's post today, and I ain't happy about it. I mean, there's got to be a reason. Justin Fields, his name has not been attached to the Titans at all. Got to be a reason why. There's got to be a reason why the Titans name hasn't been thrown out there whatsoever when it comes to these guys. Is it because people know they're going Cam Ward? They're either drafting Cam Ward or they are absolutely tanking this team in 2025. That's the only other explanation, because the options have dwindled, folks, and the Titans have not been attached to any of these quarterbacks yet. So here are my predictions as to where each of these quarterbacks are going to go right now. And if some news breaks at some point, somebody let me know in the chat. I'm relying on you guys because I've got my notes open, and let me know if something happens involving the Titans or one of these quarterbacks. The Steelers. Well, hold on. Let me read this by Grayson in the chat. Said the Dan Moore deal essentially gives us an out after 2 years. He gave up 41 pressures on 615 pass blocks. NPF had 41 pressures on 373 pass blocks. So there you go, folks. He is better than NPF. He is better than NPF. Consider me happy. Okay. Back to the quarterbacks. Steelers, they traded for DK Metcalf. Big trade. They've still got Godwin, or not Godwin. What's the other receiver's name? I'm thinking of Chris Godwin because I saw his name. What's the other Steelers receiver? Pickens. So they've got weapons there. I think they made that move to try to appeal to one of these free agents. I'm going to say the Steelers end up with Sam Darnold. I think the Steelers are going to end up with Darnold. And I think they're going to try to put Darnold in the same situation that he was in Minnesota. We've got weapons. We've got great weapons that can make up for any inadequacies that Sam Darnold has. And so we can just put him at quarterback, and he's got Pickens, and he's got Metcalf. Okay. So I think Sam Darnold to the Steelers makes the most sense right now. I have to talk about the Browns because they're kind of like the Titans. Their name's not being attached to anybody. Their name's not being attached to anybody. And it's got everybody thinking that the Browns are going to take Shedeur Sanders with the second pick in the draft. And they very well may. It makes sense because you just signed Myles Garrett to an ungodly amount of money yesterday. He's 29. You've probably got a couple of years of prime Myles Garrett left. So you need to get good, and you need to get good quick if you're the Browns. Their name's not been attached to Rodgers. Their name's not been attached to Fields. Their name's not been attached to Russell Wilson. Their name's, here's what I think. I think the Browns are going to take a swing at Kirk Cousins as a one-year rental. But ultimately, I could very well see, I think the Browns are going to end up in a situation where they have no choice but to draft Shedeur Sanders. Because if Cam Ward is gone, now I do wonder if the Browns would be pressured into trying to trade up to get Cam Ward. But at this point, I don't think the Titans are going to take a trade that doesn't involve a first rounder next year at this point. So we'll see. But let's say the Cam Ward's not there at pick 2. You're about to a place where the Browns have to take Shedeur Sanders because you got to get good quick. You've got to get a guy in here that can win quick because Myles Garrett, you just paid him an ungodly amount of money. He's got a couple of years where he's going to keep playing at this level. Or, could the Browns draft Abdul Carter and just try to dominate games with a defensive line? I don't know. I could see the Browns taking a swing at Kirk Cousins, but my gut feeling is the Browns are going to draft Shedeur Sanders because I think they're going to have no choice. I think they're going to get to a point where they have no choice but to do that. So that brings me to the Giants. The Giants are running out of options. I think the Giants are going to end up with Russell Wilson. I don't think that's what they want. I think that's like plan A was Cam Ward, plan B was Aaron Rodgers, plan C probably Shedeur Sanders. We're to plan D now, which is Russell Wilson. I think that's who the Giants are going to end up with, and I think it's not going to be good for them. As for the Vikings, I think the Vikings are going to end up with Aaron Rodgers at this point. Aaron Rodgers' career is now eerily similar to Brett Favre's. Hall of Fame career in Green Bay, won a Super Bowl, goes to the Jets and has a forgettable run, and then goes to the Vikings. Favre did it, and now Rodgers might do it. I got Rodgers ending up with the Vikings. The Vikings are clearly not ready to give the keys to J.J. McCarthy yet. I think the Vikings go with Rodgers. The Seahawks. From what I'm seeing in Seattle right now, I think it's going to have to be a let's just go with something similar to what the Raiders did last year. I could see the Seahawks going with a guy like Gardner Minshew or Drew Lock or who else did I put? Jacoby Brissett. I could see the Seahawks going with a guy like that just to get through the year because they got rid of Lockett. They traded Metcalf. They don't have a whole lot going on there. Doesn't make much sense to bring in Sam Darnold with no weapons. So I'm going to say the Seahawks end up with a placeholder guy. The Colts, I think the Colts are going to pick up Daniel Jones, and I think he's going to compete with Anthony Richardson for the starting job, and he may win. Okay, the Jets, I think, will end up with Justin Fields. I think Justin Fields took getting benched for Russell Wilson personally. I don't think Justin Fields wants to go back to Pittsburgh. I think Justin Fields will end up with the Jets. And last but not least, I think the Titans will end up with Cam Ward. Because at this point, listen, so Buck Rising tweeted today during the hour that X was up and active. Buck Rising posted and said he's hearing a lot of murmurs that the Titans are interested in bringing in either Mac Jones or Zach Wilson. Mac Jones or Zach Wilson. I said this on X last night when X was still working. If the Titans come in with a quarterback room of Will Levis and Zach Wilson, this organization is going to reach a level of unseriousness never seen before by the human species. They are going to reach a level of unseriousness that has never been seen before if their quarterback room consists of Will Levis and Zach Wilson. I agree with what King Titan just said. If you're going to go Mac Jones or Zach Wilson, you may as well just stick with Will Levis because my goodness, you want and here's the thing: if they're going to draft Cam Ward, what did they say all along? At the combine, they said, we want to bring in a veteran backup. We want to bring in a veteran quarterback to either compete with Will Levis or to mentor the quarterback that we draft. Does Zach Wilson or Mac Jones fit that at all? They're still young. Mac Jones has only been in the NFL a few years. So is Zach Wilson. These guys ain't mentors. These guys ain't Jacoby Brissett or Gardner Minshew. They're still children. You think Mac Jones is going to want to mentor Cam Ward? What could he possibly teach him? So here's how you throw an interception. You take the arm and you just throw it right to the defender. And that's how you do it. Like, what? What is Zach Wilson going to teach Cam Ward? So then you get their mom's number and you start texting them, and then you meet up with them in private, and then you, like, what is Zach Wilson going to teach Cam Ward how to do? That just, and if they don't draft Cam Ward, you want to talk about your deepest, darkest fears. You don't draft Cam Ward, and we've either got a quarterback room of Will Levis and Mac Jones or Will Levis and Zach Wilson. Hey now. This is what nightmares are made of. This is a nightmare for nobody more than Brian Callahan. If you got a quarterback room consisting of Will Levis and either Mac Jones or Zach Wilson, Brian Callahan better start packing his bags right now, dude. He better start packing his bags right here, right now, and getting out of town. No point in even prolonging it. Heo says X is back working right now. Let's go see some, if that's true, let's go see what people are saying about the Dan Moore deal. Mike Herndon says most pressures allowed by an offensive tackle in 2024. Per Pro Football Focus, Cam Robinson leads the way with 64. J.C. Latham tied at 5th with 47. And then way down there at number 9, tied for number 9, Nicholas Petit-Frere and Dan Moore. Teron Davenport says Titans Brian Callahan hinted at the possibility of moving J.C. Latham to right tackle at the combine. As a quote from Callahan, he said, I wouldn't box ourselves into not signing a good player because we have a guy at left tackle, Callahan says. How do we find the best 2 tackles we can find? If we have to move him, we'll move him. Looks like they're moving him. Easton Freeze, regarding the deal, says insane amount of fully guaranteed money for Dan Moore. Every deal feels inflated because of the increased cap we aren't used to yet, but man, oh man, this has to work out. Moore has to be a league average starting tackle at bare minimum for multiple years for this to have been justified. Bill Callahan is betting on the fact that he will be. Someone in the reply says, so he's on the books for $30 million this year. That takes over half the cap space for this season alone, to which Easton replied, no, his cap number won't be anywhere near that this year. That's the cash he'll see. I don't understand cap stuff. It's so confusing. Sal from Jersey, from the Sick Podcast, says, I would expect Latham to move to right tackle now and also be a lot better than he was at left tackle last year. Wow. Let's see. Teron Davenport, new Titans tackle Dan Moore had a 92.5% pass blocks win rate with the Steelers last season, according to True Media, but Moore allowed 13 sacks. Great. What could possibly go wrong? Tyler Rowland, Locked on Titans podcast. Oh, the Patriots have, of course, the Patriots have agreed to terms with Morgan Moses on a 3-year, $24 million deal worth up to $28.5 million. The Pats add an experienced, reliable veteran in front of Drake May while Moses gets a raise. Why would you not have done that? Why would you not sign Morgan Moses for $28 million instead of, I mean, my goodness. He also said, Tyler Rowland did, Justin Fields and Russell Wilson make it hard on an offensive line for sure. Certainly not all those sacks are purely on Dan Moore, but he's also been a questionable pass blocker his entire career. So hard to find the truth. There's some of the commentary going on about Dan Moore. I mean, I don't know, man. That's a lot of money for Dan Moore. A lot of money. And interestingly enough, the Patriots going with a tackle in Morgan Moses, a lot of people have mocked them taking the tackle from LSU. Wonder if the Patriots might not do that. I mean, could the Patriots potentially end up with Abdul Carter? Because if the Titans take Cam Ward and the Browns take Shedeur Sanders, the Giants in that scenario would probably take Travis Hunter. And then the Patriots are sitting there at 4 and get Abdul Carter. So I don't know. Speaking of the Patriots signed Harold Landry yesterday. Speaking of overpaid, the Patriots signed Harold Landry, $43 million deal. I mean, I think this is the Vrabel way. Loyalty. Let's go with what we know. Let's go with the guys we know. He also signed Austin Hooper, one of his guys. I would not be shocked if the Patriots end up with Nick Westbrook-Akine. Wouldn't surprise me a bit. One of Vrabel's guys. Amnesia in the Super Chat said, none of that matters if the quarterback can't throw it accurately or steps into sacks. We got to grab a quarterback with more to grow on than Levis has. That's true. Sacks are not just on offensive line, on quarterbacks too. Will Levis was the cause of a lot of the sacks that took place last year for Titans. Not just on NPF or whoever. Grayson has a good point. Moses is 34 years old. He's a lot older. That's a risk. How old is Dan Moore? Somebody tell me that. How old's Dan? I shouldn't just ask y'all. How old is Dan Moore? 26. So he is a good bit younger. That's at least an upside. Okay. Getting back on track here. Joe Click, and I'm sorry I'm all over the place today, but this is just what it is. The free agency is wild. Constant updates coming in. Brad, do you start Cam Ward right away or do you bring in a bridge for him? I would like to start him right away. I mean, I'd like to start him right away. But I'm glad you bring that up. If you're going to bring in let's say you draft Cam Ward and now you want a veteran backup to help him. Who would be a good one? The first name that comes to mind is Jacoby Brissett. I know that's not flashy, but we're talking about a backup quarterback here. Jacoby Brissett's a veteran. Jacoby Brissett would be a good guy to come in and mentor Cam Ward. I would be fine with Jacoby Brissett as the backup to Cam Ward. Great. You want to know who else I'd be okay with? Jameis Winston. If you draft Cam Ward, go get Jameis and let him back up Cam. First of all, the vibes of Jameis. First of all, the vibes of Jameis Winston. We need, how many times have I said it? We need some personality. We need some culture. Who's going to bring that in? Cam, yes, but also Jameis Winston, dude. Jameis Winston's going to be over there praying for that man. Jameis Winston going to be on the sideline like, Lord, deliver him from interceptions, Lord Jesus, is what Jameis Winston's going to do. So those are guys who could be mentors. Not Mac Jones, not Zach Wilson. I would have said Jimmy Garoppolo, but he re-signed with the Rams today, so it's not going to be him. Gardner Minshew potentially could be a mentor. And again, bring a little bit of personality. And you know, if you drafted Cam Ward, then Mac Jones would not be the worst backup. Like it wouldn't be the end of the world if Mac Jones were backing up Cam Ward. I just don't view Mac Jones as like a mentor. Somebody who's going to come in and try to mentor Cam Ward and help him. Just don't get that vibe. And regarding Amnesia's question, am I saying that I want to cut Will Levis? In this scenario, if you're going to draft Cam Ward, I think in that moment, you need to trade Will Levis if you can for anything you can get. If you can get a 5th round pick for Will Levis, go on. Good point made in the chat right there. Potentially Joe Flacco. Of course, I don't know. Cam Ward is a guy who can move around the pocket, who's mobile. I don't know how much Joe Flacco could help him, but hey, yeah, Joe Flacco could come in and back up Cam Ward. Stanley Wilson in the super chat says, trade Will Levis to the Seahawks. I thought about this, Stanley. He said, trade Will Levis to the Seahawks for a 5th round pick, maybe a 4th if they're crazy enough to pull it off. I thought about Will Levis to the Seahawks because, like I said earlier, when I was talking about where these quarterbacks are going to land, the Seahawks are going to be desperate, I think, because not desperate, but they're going to be willing to go with a not sure thing. They have gotten rid of Tyler Lockett. They've traded DK Metcalf. They've traded Geno Smith. They are starting from scratch, it seems. They did re-sign Ernest Jones, which was a bummer. I wanted the Titans to get him again, but I don't know if it was ever realistic. But I got to wonder if you're Seattle and this year kind of feels like it's not a throwaway, but not a year where you're going to be a contender anyway. Would the Seahawks be willing to trade for Will Levis, to give up a 5th round pick to bring in Will Levis and let him have a year in Seattle? Or, like Joe said, they could go with a guy like Joe Milton, back up at New England, played in 1 game at the end of the year and was great. I could maybe see that being an opportunity for the Titans to trade Will Levis somewhere. Time will tell. But if they draft Cam Ward, I think they have to trade Will Levis. I don't think you keep Levis on the team. I think at that point it becomes Cam Ward, veteran backup. Like, that's clearly the path forward if you're going to draft Cam Ward, which at this point I think is the right thing to do. I think the Titans need to draft Cam Ward. I think they need to. That's what I want right now. It could always change. I was entertaining the idea of Abdul Carter, but for right now, I feel like it needs to be Cam Ward. These are some of the people I had listed as top targets for the Titans. Some of these guys have already signed. Morgan Moses was the first name on the list. I'll take him off the list because he is with the Patriots now. Javon Holland, safety. I feel like Titans are going to have to address the safety position in free agency because I don't think they're going to spend a draft pick on that. So I think Javon Holland or Eric Reed would be targets for the Titans at the safety position. Keaton says, what's an update on the Titans move so far today? Well, we have assigned Dan Moore to come play left tackle. 26 years old, $50 million guaranteed. Yikes. Filthy Kong said free agency just started and I'm already burnt out. I wouldn't be as burnt out if X were cooperating today. That just made it all worse. Okay. I said the 2 safeties. Right guard still iffy. Dylan Radins could still be the answer there. Bring him back. Continuity. NWI, yes, I would like to say. Titans are going to have to do something at wide receiver. And speaking of that, I have a list of the free agent wide receivers here. You guys tell me. Some of these guys, Devontae Adams, obviously he's on this list. He's already with the Rams. Rams could be nasty this year, by the way, if Devontae Adams still has some juice. But Stephon Diggs, I don't want Stephon Diggs. Keenan Allen, don't want Keenan Allen. Chris Godwin already signed back with the Bucks. Amari Cooper, I mean, felt like he did nothing with Buffalo. Brandon Cooks, Darius Slayton, D-Hop. I think D-Hop may retire. Elijah Moore. De'Ami Brown. Maybe. Deontay Johnson, I don't want nothing to do with him. No. Juju Smith-Schuster. Josh Palmer. That's a name that would make sense. Mike Williams. I don't no. Van Jefferson, no. Robert Woods, no thanks. Tyler Boyd, I mean, they could bring Boyd back. Whatever. Noah Brown, KJ Osborne, DJ Chark, Valdez Scantling. I mean, it just like, it's not a great list of why. I mean, like, this is why I think the Titans might have to use their second round pick on a wide receiver, because that free, I mean, they could always trade for somebody. I mean, Tyler Lockett, you just said Tyler Lockett's there, Cooper Kupp, but I mean, these are guys you would have to pay a good bit. Cooper Kupp's not going to be cheap. I just don't know if that's the way. I think Calvin Ridley's the only sure thing. He's the only one that's guaranteed to come back, because Boyd's a free agent, NWI's a free agent, Traylon Burks, get out of here. D-Hop's already been traded, so like, Calvin Ridley's the only guaranteed one to be back. So they got to address this in free agency. They've got to get a mid-level free agent, but they're going to have to draft somebody high up. So, I mean, I don't know. The Titans are going to have to do something at edge rush. I saw some people yesterday that mentioned the possibility of I can't even say it. The possibility of the Titans trading for Micah Parsons. Listen, Micah Parsons is incredible. You're kidding, Keaton. Hold on. Are you telling me? Did I not predict it? Are you serious, Keaton? There ain't no way. There ain't no way. If this happened, and X is down. X is down again, everybody. So, okay, never mind. There it is. I don't know if I'm not seeing it, Keaton. I'm not. For those listening, Keaton is saying NWI just signed with the Patriots. I'm not seeing it. But that could just be because X is down and it's just not showing me. I'm not seeing anything about NWI. I'm seeing cornerback DJ Reed plans with the Lions, signed with the Lions. There is a feeling that Justin Fields will ultimately land with the Jets. What did I tell you? I'm not seeing anything about NWI to the Patriots, but I would not be shocked if that happens. Micah Parsons, the Titans are not trading for Micah Parsons. They would have to give up their second round pick, which would be worth it. If anybody would be worth it, it's him, but I don't think they're going to do that. Jack Gibbons, they need to re-sign Gibby. Von Miller is still out there if you want a veteran edge guy. Khalil Mack ended up back with the Chargers. Hassan Reddick with the Bucks. Chase Young, potentially. You could get Chase Young. You could trade for Trey Hendrickson, but I don't think they're going to do that. I don't think the Titans are going to trade a high draft pick for a guy, and I feel like they would have to do that for Trey Hendrickson. Trey Hendrickson's a great player, but I just don't think they're going to do that. Zadarius Smith, potentially. The Lions let him go. Will Freeze could be an option at guard. A lot of people talking about him. Jedrick Wills, I guess I can go ahead and take his name off the list because we signed Dan Moore. Just that name, bro. It just sounds like the name of the guy that we're all going to be ticked off about every Sunday this fall. Dan Moore. You can just already can you not already see yourself sitting on the couch watching Cam Ward or whoever get sacked on 3rd and 6 and being like, Dan Moore again. Dan Moore, $82 million. You just know. You know it's coming. These are some of the bummers that I'm sad we missed out on. Nick Bolton, linebacker, returned to Kansas City. We could have used him. We got to do something at linebacker too. But part of that, I mean, Cedric Gray is going to have to be good. I think Kenneth Murray is unfortunately going to stay. Jack Gibbons we need to bring back. But we need help at linebacker. Nick Bolton, I was bummed. Jamie and Sherwood, that was a bummer. Jalen Moore, bummer. And now Dan Moore. Oh boy, free agency rages on. I'll probably do another episode this week because I anticipate something's going to happen. But there will be videos. Man, this one hurts. Easton Freeze said Titans spent their last 2 first-round picks on offensive line. and then spent 4 years, $50 million on a center last spring, and just handed out another 4-year, $82 million on another offensive tackle. And we always have one of the worst offensive lines in the league. It hurts, folks. It hurts. Rascal Flatts was wrong. This is what hurts the most. It's not being so close and having so much to say and watching you walk away. What hurts the most is watching the Titans continue to bring in people who can't block. Oh my gosh. Let's see. Let Borgonzi cook. Let him cook. That's going to do it for the Two Tone Talk podcast today. Keep your eyes peeled on the channel today, this week. Going to be doing a ton of videos. Probably do another episode later this week. If anything huge happens, especially. Two Tone Talk podcast staying way too high on the wins, way too low on the losses. More and more and more and more offensive linemen. Dan Moore. Tighten up, everybody. Bye.